Welcome back to Ohio and Company. So you want to write a book. You're not alone. And did you know you can start out by self-publishing your work? That's what Julia Child and Beatrix Potter did. And that's today's inviting conversation. So with us is Wade Meyer and Bob Sims, co-owner of the educational publisher. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you, Eve.
Start with you, Wade. You know, a lot of people say, I can write a book. I'd like to write a book. I can write better than this person. And actually, it's not that hard to do.
And I was one of those people. I wanted to write a book. I thought I had a great idea, put it together, and then did self-publish it. And that book came out in 1999. And it was actually a really fantastic experience. It's different when you have an idea and you put it in writing versus when you walk into a Borders and you see something that you have done right there on the shelf in front of you. It's an experience that is difficult to describe, but it is an awesome one.
Very cool. Bob, with the educational publisher, tell us what your company does. How do you help people do this?
Well, we started years ago. We've been working with instructors across the country producing course materials. And many of them that we met with had mentioned that they had a book that they wrote, but they couldn't get it published or didn't want to go through the publishing process. So we helped them to self-publish. And basically the concept is that they offer the book in ready-to-print format, possibly with the cover ready to go, or we might help them set up the book or the cover. And we go through a proofing process that allows them to refine the book. We print the books, we fulfill orders for them, we place the books on Amazon.com, make them available, for example, at their school. Now, if you're not an instructor, which has started to happen now, we have many people that aren't instructors that want to self-publish. We place the books on Amazon.com, as I mentioned. We also have a website of our own at edupublisher.com. We create a page on that website for them, and they can use that to sell their books. Sometimes they do it for themselves, just to say, I printed a book, you know,
Sure.
I published a book.
Sure.
Sometimes they have dreams that their book is going to become something much bigger, and I don't know if it'll hit the bestseller list, New York Times bestseller
Sure.
list, but you know, they have various reasons for doing so, and we just enable it through the most basic of services.
But you actually have had some successes all across the country with particularly one book.
Right. We have a book. A lady at Miami University, an instructor, wrote a book about something called dressage. It's a type of horse riding, about the physiology of dressage. And it's a beautiful book. She put a lot of time and effort into the artwork and the photos and creating the book. And we sell it around the world.
Wow.
We have a bookstore, from a Danish bookstore, ordered copies yesterday. We have people that individually order copies, New Zealand and Europe and all over the world. And it's, I mean, again, it's not a huge bestseller, but she's doing pretty well with the book.
So is it a myth, though, that a lot of people would say, oh, if you self-publish, then nobody would have picked it up? You just you know, do it yourself.
Yeah, it's harder. I mean, if you get picked up by HarperCollins or Pearson, you have a better chance of really hitting it big. But you get the ball rolling is usually the best thing to do, is to use self-publishing. Then if a big publisher says, hey, this is doing pretty well, and I like the way it looks and it's designed, they can take the next step.
But I've read a lot of famous authors actually started out self-publishing. Sure. I read John Grisham's Time to Kill, went through 15 publishers and 30 agents before he said, heck with it, I'm just going to do it myself.
Right.
So it can happen. Tell us about the cost, though. I think that's probably the most daunting question for most people, is how much money is this going to cost me, and can I do it? There
are some self-publishing companies that will charge. They'll charge thousands of dollars, and they'll have a long print run of the book. Our company charges nothing. Basically, our income comes from actually selling the books. But we charge the author nothing. We help them with setup for the book. Again, we print the books, we fulfill the orders, we help them along the line. So basically, there are no upfront costs for the author. using our system.
That's terrific. And how is the cost of the book determined? Do you help them with the market, sort of say, hey, I think it's worth this?
Sure. We will look at a book. First of all, there are printing costs, obviously, the printing, the binding, colors, that all factors into the cost of the book. Then we work with the author to determine what the final cost will be. Additional items in the cost would be royalties. Say an author wants to get a certain amount of royalty from each book, and we work with them to figure out what the final cost would be. And then we also have to factor in, obviously, markup. Because the bookstores or Amazon.com
they have to take a cut.
They have to take a cut. And so then we've come up with the final set of numbers for the cost. But the author is always involved in that. Very
interesting. And Wade, very quickly, you have a lot of this information on your website to reference.
Yes, if they go to the Inviting Conversations website, there will be a fact sheet that can be downloaded, or they can go to the Educational Publishers website as well and get the same information.
Wade Meyer, Bob Sims, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. If you want to learn more about Inviting Conversations, just go to invitingconversations.com. And for more on the educational publisher, go to edupublisher.com. Next on Ohio and Company, you're going to want to get your tickets now. The Columbus Crew has big plans this season. Stay with us for that story.